Hi, folks. Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Please somebody comment that I am indeed audio, because this is only my second or third time using these new headphones. So I want to make sure you guys can hear me. It's weird because I'm turning up the audio. I don't have voice chat in this, but this is cool. Okay. Thank you guys for showing up. Awesome. All right. So I'll go through my shtick. The Historical Fencing Guild is a proud member of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Please take a screenshot of this if you haven't. These are wonderful programs that I support. You should support too. Rising Tide lifts all ships. Now, we are under special support from Hybrids, the Sons of God, the role-playing game, which I actually wrote for Luke Stone. The crowdfunding period is over, but, folks, it's still available on the market, and this is one of the finest creations I've ever done in 30 years of gaming. Please look into it. We are also brought to you as we go through the opening spiel by the Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe, both available through Amazon at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tockert. That's me. The Simple Sword is a from the ground up, easy to use, quick to understand method of learning Western martial arts. The Fighting Axe is a small volume focused on the art of learning how to use an axe both agriculturally and in combat. The axe actually is one of my favorite weapons of all time, and it does not get enough love, so I made this volume. All right, most of all, I'm brought to you by my amazing Patreon patrons whose generosity allow me to literally keep the light on and afford to do some amazing things for you. Alrighty, hi guys. I'm gonna just get right back into it. We've got Cindy Kep and we've got Bladed Thesis. Hi all. That means Foxy's there too. If you are watching this and you don't want me to seem schizophrenic, please turn on the live feed notifications so that you can see what the chat is saying to me. Whoop. Okay, there's a slight glitch, but I'm not touching it because tech hates me. Well, folks, wow, this has been a very an incredibly busy and eventful week for me, and that has affected what I do here quite a bit. I have been perusing Purple Heart Armory and other retailers, but you're not going to see a lot of new products right now. I think what's going to happen is a lot of the retailers who are making HEMA gear are focusing on making building up their stock more than making new products, because as the nation opens up, as Combat Con and other events start to happen, as HEMA events and SCA events all start opening up, people are going to have to replace the gear that was neglected. They're going to have the new people. The smarter groups spend a lot of time doing recruitment, so this is coming on a very exciting period. I will give you heads up. It is very likely at the end of July, or near the end of July. I don't have the exact which Friday. I will not be broadcasting unless something goes wrong and I have to go home early, because actually Stef Mari and John, her fiance, soon to be husband, will be getting married, and I've been asked to attend. There we go, Foxy. So that will be after the period of decontamination for me and my son, or acceptance. So that's pretty much my big social event. As we open up and we see, I don't know if we're going to transition into more live feeds from practices, or if we're going to do monthly practices and do highlight reels with the videos. I haven't really gotten to talk to the local guild members very much, obviously. And so we're going to see what's going on. In other news, I actually have a Twitter at @ntockert. And if you want to follow what's going on here and not have to deal with some of the Facebook shenanigans, I really encourage you. I'm going to try to use that, at least for now, as sort of a funnel point for my art, for my gaming, and for my sorry, and for the Historical Fencing Guild broadcast information. I kind of want to channel that there because there's less of a filter to entry. So we'll see how that goes. I'm experimenting. I very deliberately avoided Twitter like the plague. Now you may notice my energy level is a bit lower than is the norm for any given Friday. That is because I did yesterday afternoon get my shot, and today I had to have a small medical procedure, nothing too trying, but the combination has really taken the wind out of my sails. And, Amanda asked me if I was going to cancel the show, and I'm like, I said I would do this as long as the pandemic was going on, and at least for me, until 2 weeks have passed after my son gets his second shot, it's still going on. Once we're safe, I can talk about occasionally taking a week off, like for a wedding. But right now I want to be here for the folks who still rely on me. I don't want to be one of those people who face plant at the end of the marathon. Thank you, Foxy. I will be feeling better real soon. I'm feeling better now than I did earlier. It's just when I have bad muscle aches because of the nerve damage and stuff, my muscle aches become it's bad. I mean, I don't just walk with a cane because it's stylish. So when things get bad, it gets kind of crunchy on me, and that's okay. We all have to work with what we have, and we shouldn't be ashamed of our physical limitations. That's one of the big things that not only is the guild about, but I like to remind folks that, when you're supporting someone, remember it applies to you too. And that's a huge part of what we do here. Yes, I absolutely love sword fighting, and I love training people. And but I also have to admit that some days I can't. Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. I'm embracing it. I'm not letting them paralyze me. Well, more than a few hours where I just kind of laid under the air conditioner and went, I'm just not going to exist, will myself into the void for a while. And, under the loving ministrations of the Scuba Sleeping Squad. But I've also found I'm down a bit of weight upon seeing the doctor, which is really good. But this week's been exciting for me, and some of it's guild related and some of it's not. So I want to go through and build that hyper stuff up. I was on I actually lost track of how many different channels, including a very fun channel called Red Valkyrie. I think it's Red Valkyrie Presents. Shay was a wonderful host, and it was very entertaining if you're in the comic field, or because one of her hosts, Sai, is trans. If you want to understand the lifestyle and the needs of someone transitioning, I find it fascinating because I believe in helping people. And part of helping people is understanding that people live different lifestyles than you. And here's the shocker: that's okay. I come from a religious base and a philosophical base that says the right thing to do is to love people as you want to be loved. And yeah, it is Pride Month, which is always a little dicey for me because I support a lot of folks in a lot of ways, and I have my own situations, but I also detest corporate greed to my core. So sometimes people don't see that I'm seeing that side of it. It reminds me of how what we affectionately call the pink tax, where people sell products that are pink to raise cancer awareness, which I'm a major supporter of, supporting cancer survivors, especially breast cancer survivors. My mom is one of them. But the money doesn't usually get to them in any volume. So to me, it's dubious. So my approach, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody, is all year long, I just try to help everybody best I can. And when I goof up, I apologize and I keep trucking. That's what it's about here. I'm all about building people up. And because of my way of thinking, I don't build people up because they are of any given trait. I build people up because they're people. They are sapient, sentient beings, and that should be enough. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense. It sounds, you don't care. No, I generally don't care. It's like, if that's your thing and you need support, cool. But as long as you're not hating anybody or doing anything I find, repugnant, like e.g. a bully, whoever you are, if you're a bully, I won't stand with you. That's just my nature. But we build up on that. So that's where I stand. If this offends anyone, that's why there's an unsubscribe button. I would rather support people who want help and want to be helpful than deal with negativity. So there's that. Now that we've gone through the whole almost necessarily early June, I don't even know what to call it. It's the little text at the bottom of the page. I want to talk to you guys about something else that happened. And yep, I will tell you right now, I'm rocking a fever of about 100 degrees. The docs were a little worried about how the thing would hit me, and I am feeling it. But that's why I made my Go Juice extra strong, and that's why we're rocking and rolling. Longtime guildies know, about this time in 2019, I think, I don't know how long it's been, I want to say 2019, I was working, it may have been this time 2020, time, space, in the garden, and something terrible happened to me. My neck knife, the black CRKT minimalist my wife gave me, was gone. And during that period, I found out how much, not just a versatile tool my neck knife is, but how much a comfort item. Because of my background, because of some stuff that happened, I don't like going anywhere without a knife for a myriad of reasons. Oh, yeah. And I may have to mute things for a second and do a liquid request later. But I lost it. And I'm going to tell you, it felt like a piece of my soul was gone. It really did. And it's weird because I am in the habit of finding and misplacing crosses, like the crosses one wears around their neck, usually about the time I'm going somewhere where I need one. And then when I don't need it, it just sort of disappears. I've just accepted that as normal. Knives don't usually do that. Occasionally they are given / sold, and that's because I follow an old superstition where if someone gives you a live steel knife, you give them a penny back so that it doesn't sever the friendship. It's old Nick stuff. I'm an odd guy. I have a new Hawaiian shirt. Of course, I'm an odd guy. But this spring we were out doing some weed whipping and trying to clean up to prevent the local town folk from glaring at us because our grass is too long. Because really, with everything going on, that's what folks get hung up about. Oh my gosh, you have weeds in your yard. Anyway. Look what we found. Rose up out of the dirt. It spent over a year exposed. Now, I want to show you guys something because I put it in this little baggie. Ooh, that's to show you. Oh, that's the smell of joy right there. That is WD-40 for anyone who's curious. Boop. It rusted. Let me see. Let me get the angle so you can see. I've been soaking it in WD-40 that much. When I sit down with a whetstone or a file and I derust it, that is minuscule. It set out an entire winter basically exposed. And I will tell you, the weight of this is much heavier in the hand than this. It feels like it has about twice as much steel. But my wife gave me this one as a replacement. So this one gets a place of honor. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen to this dear old friend. It may become a situational knife, you know? But this is what happened. When you talk quality, you sometimes have to give it a discussion of abuse. And all the WD-40 really did is pull some of the dirt out of hard places and, solve the set screws were a little rusty. A little. I mean, it's not even brown, so there's still a lot more life in WD-40. This is amazing, folks. And that it was returned to me just it feels and yes, oh, you're rubbing WD-40 in your hands. Oh no, I'm rubbing a heavy moisturizing oil into my hands. I'm gonna come out. My wife's gonna go, "Oh, you smell so good," and that is okay. I'm putting it back in here till I'm ready to work on it because I'm not gonna try to sharpen a knife with slightly shaky hands. But yeah, I found that outside. It was only a few feet. It had gotten down when I was laying down cardboard to make a side runner. I have a lot of work before my house is guestable. It's been a year with really, really bad injury on my part. So it's affecting how fast I can build back up. And I'm probably going to actually tear down the whole list field, mow it all out, and possibly realign it. That's borderline a religious event in my life. So we have a lot coming up. And that means possibly mid July? Maybe the end of July, depending on how the wedding hits and everything. I may just be having practices for the folks who want to come out. And that'll be the local guild types, and we'll see how that goes. I am both excited and I am a little uneasy because it's not dealing with the adjustments for disability and the changes that come on is very different when you're doing it alone than when you're doing it with witnesses. Uh, and I'm a big proponent of Sun Tzu. When you are weak, show strength. When you're strong, show weakness. That way it confuses your enemy. And today hit hard because I went out, I got my shot yesterday. I went to the doctor, tried to do Walmart. This was a mistake. And it wasn't pretty getting back in. But uh-oh. Yeah, social. And honestly, I think I'm going to be different social because I have found that the people I care about who were there, I care about, and the ones who just kind of flaked out. It's not that I don't care, I wish them well, but I'm not going to invest the time and energy. I'm doing good here. And looking back, while a lot of people had different responses to what happened, I was a busy dude. You know, I've been busier than a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest, folks, and more nervous than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. But so I have to balance all that out. I was like, where does that apply to you guys? Well, that means hopefully soon I will start having live videos. Some of the issues I haven't necessarily talked about because you guys don't need all the details. Delayed my shooting of the Patreon videos because basically I don't suffer sunlight well. And so I kind of have to balance either early in the morning, which is against everything I believe in, or late at night and balance out my stuff. So there are some videos coming. I have been doing contract work, which means the stuff I contracted with Luke Stone to do for hybrids. Now, it's not that that goes on the back burner. I'm still chipping away at it, but now I can focus more on the next book for the guild, being the Swordmaster's Guide to the Poor Swordmaster's Guide to Arms and Armor. I think that will be something that could be useful, and I really want to try to get that out shortly, basically as soon as I feel comfortable typing it out and just cranking it all down. Because I think it will be needed. You know, a lot of people are going to come back looking to get into shape. A lot of people are in worse shape than they think, and they want. And with 1 second. Actually, Foxy, I'm a big fan of NOAD. I'm a huge fan of NOAD sunblock. It doesn't advertise. That's why it's called NOAD. You find it at like Wally World, and you just pick the SPF that works for you. If you're going to go wet, I don't have a lot of brand loyalty, but if you're going wet, Bullfrog is the absolute best. And when you burn yourself, because let's be honest, summer's coming, we all will. There is something called Ocean Potion. Now there's bootlegs, but I can say Ocean Potion, people will know. It's a mix of aloe gel with lidocaine. I keep the bottle actually in the kitchen next to the stove because whenever I would burn my fingers doing whatever, I can just put that right on there and get back on to whatever I'm doing. So that's the thing. And another thing, guys, we got to talk because things are heating up. And I mean, literally, it was 95 degrees. I heard it was 93 in Winnipeg, Canada, from the lovely Willow Schuyler, who runs Willow's Pillow Talk. And that means that kind of heat, the amount of sunlight that's hitting is harder. I got you. I got you. Uh, but the amount of sunlight that's hitting, just raw sunlight's been clearer. Higher pressure bubbles really affect me. So I don't go out without a bright wide brimmed hat. It's not a statement, it's a necessity. Uh, okay, then yes. If that's the case, look into it. Allergies are absolutely uh, um a thing. But the other thing is, guys, we have to plan hydration. Okay, you really hydration and quality hydration. Uh, it's going to be hot enough. You don't want to drink straight Gatorade. I find straight Gatorade can actually upset the stomach quite a bit in these heat. But a watered down Gatorade or a lemonade can do wonders. So if you're practicing outdoors or in a non-air conditioned facility, set up a table, hydrate, frequently take breaks, guys. No one like okay, well there are a few people who own their own setups and have no health issues who are still in pretty good shape, but no one's in great shape right now. We all need to build up before it gets to be problematic. So what you want to do is you really want to lean into hydration. You want to lean into making sure your gear comes off easy. I've spoken about this before with Cindy. I have done a lot of pullover T-tunic style fencing gears. Yeah, Gatorade pickles are amazing for your heavy fighters. A jar of pickles can change a life. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, I'm a Midwesterner. I do not normally like pickles as a rule, but boy, a salty pickle can really help replenish some stuff as you're fighting. If possible, make sure there's a place for the fighters to sit that's in the shade. You want to keep them cool when when not fighting. You want to make sure it's separate from the fighting field so that they're not too revved up and distracted. Uh, well, they say you should drink about 4 liters of water on a standard day, and you said a gallon, so that's not far off. I'm a huge fan of this size of bottle, the sparkling fake. It's like sparkling water stuff at Wally World comes in this, and they have an orange and cream that's delightful, and they have a lime. And I just have to talk about the lime because no matter how hot the lime is, somehow it tastes uh, delightful. It absolutely tastes delightful. And yeah, if you can stomach pickle juice in moderation, but the trick of it is lots of breaks. You're not gonna want to. And getting back, when you select your armor, especially those of us who are rearmoring because of some physical changes, e.g., pandemic pudge, uh, make sure it's easy to get on and off. Okay? So any fighting jacket I use will have to be very easy for me to work. And do not be afraid to ask for assistance. Okay? That's one thing I really want to. There's a lot of people come into Western martial arts and they carry some ego with them. And a lot of it manifests in, not taking hits or thinking you're better than you are, etc. But another form that's more insidious is not keeping track of your physical limitations. If you are marshaling, refereeing, whatever your running event, watch people's color. That's good to know. Uh, if people are red and flushed, you tell them go sit down, have some water. If they have a problem with it, they can. Well, that's a form of inverted ego. Um, Syndicate says sometimes it's not ego, but I don't want to be a pest. And God, I'm sorry, I'm out of it. So tapping deep rooted philosophy, I believe it was Plato who said, every vice is an excess or absence of a virtue. If we take a virtue of courtesy and we have an absence of courtesy, you're going to be rude, you're going to be demanding, you're going to be. But if you have an excess, you won't. You will take hits that maybe you shouldn't in life because you're just too nice. I am all about that. And yeah, hey, that's there are reasons. Marriage is a partnership. This is a little off topic, but I've got nearly 20 years under my belt. And I was talking to a friend. He was asking some marriage advice, and I was talking to him. And my other friend butted in. He said, "You don't know what you're talking about." He went on and he said his piece, and then he left. And I looked at the questioning friend. I said, "He's been married 7 times. If you want to know about weddings and divorces and free range dating silliness, talk to him. I've been married once. That means I did it right." So that's one of the wonderful things about working with your spouse. Now, I found I found a video that was taken when John Miner and Tom and Jonathan kind of crashed my place to drop off goodies for Amanda. The problem is, while I did find it, the file size, because I accidentally took it at extremely high resolution, trying to work around it being dark and weird, is monstrous. So I will try to edit that and get it in a format that YouTube will accept. That will probably be a bonus video. I'll just throw it up with little pomp and circumstance. Now, I'm mentioning this because as things open up and as she's doing better, I really want to take the venue I have here and encourage. Awesome. Uh, yeah. Uh, and encourage folks to sorry, I need a second. Ah. Okay, sorry. I want to encourage the female martial artists I know. Now, long time ago, I got to sit them down and have a little booth time, and I was trying to set up as a regular show before everything went down. And I would really like to try to bring that back. And it might be a case of where I just run the camera and stay the heck out of the way and let the ladies talk. Now, I am curious if anyone watching this would be interested. Blade Thesis makes a wonderful point, and I'm going to read it out loud for the folks who don't listen and turn on the live chat. Foxy and I have an interesting dynamic. I mean, I don't know how many couples could have a romantic relationship at the same time as a student-teacher dynamic. And that is one of my, actually, you just fed me into a wonderful segue that as we start fighting, as we start opening up for bouts wherever we are, whoever we're with, there is a concept that I feel does not get discussed enough, although it's very important. And that is the concept of the well, you know what, Cindy? Part of it is an audience. If especially Cindy and Foxy and other ladies who watch this, because I really want to make sure Western martial arts are open for everybody. And part of that group is females, and it can be very hard for women, trans women, cis women. I'm not good with some of the terms. Please don't misconstrue anything I say. When I am rude, it will be intentional. If I say something wrong, correct me. But that point being, I want that to be open. The other thing is, I'm on Twitter. That was one of my checklists at and Talker, because things with Facebook have been kind of weird. Hi, Steve. Anyway, but getting back to things, sometimes Steve messages me off chat, and I am highly appreciative that he does so off chat. It lets me keep things a little higher above water sometimes, but it is hilarious. The yeah. So I kind of need to double down my connectivity with folks. That way, if Facebook goes, my my whole network doesn't cave around it. I don't like to be reliant on any one thing. So when we get back to the topic, what I'm talking about is the sovereignty of the Soleil. And that's borrowing from Gigante. And what do I mean by the sovereignty of the Soleil? When someone is teaching, okay, especially something as physical as martial arts, there has to be a sort of threshold around the list field. Now, this goes all the way back to any period where you had rulers who had children, because somebody had to teach, Prince Zuko how to firebend. And yeah, I went there, and I'm okay with that. But to do that, it had the titles beyond the instructor, the sword master, the whatever. You might be Duke so and so, you might be Lord, you might just be a hireling. As soon as you hit the list field, you are the guy in charge, and the roles have to fall away. This can be very strenuous in employment when couples are employed in the same place, but it's also crucial to what we do, because when we hit one, it all has to stop. Whatever, we might have a beef about something stupid. You ate the last brownie. It doesn't matter. You hit the list field, and the rules are in play. And that's a matter of trust. The trust that's exchanged is you're trusting me not to abuse my position to hurt or humiliate you intentionally. And I'm trusting you not to decapitate me when we leave this list field because you didn't like the fact that you got poked by a stick. That's a real concept, and it needs to be considered. Status is something that's much more nebulous these days, but it didn't go away. And that's why when I'm teaching, I have some rules. And this sometimes annoys other instructors, but one is anybody coming to the Historical Fencing Guild, I get first dibs to check. Bona fides are beautiful. You can tell me all you want. But first thing I do is I discuss with them, talk about the conventions, and do an evaluation bout to see where their skill is, where their physicality is. I get a vast amount of information. Awesome. But when when I'm bringing somebody new, especially, and it's hard, guys. If you're teaching people, there has to be a hierarchy of you may be, the best instructor on the planet, but this is my list field and this is my student who I'm going to be working with after you're gone. So we have to go through the same process. I have essentially a curriculum. It's almost like I wrote a sequential book on how to sword fight that I go through so that everyone at least understands this. Now, I do that despite whatever you may have. Either you have nothing in your background, you've never held a sword before. Cool. I love so you've never held a sword before classes. Or you're trying to transverse from something unhanded, or you've done different styles that have nothing to do what we do. Maybe Iaido. Maybe you're a Meyer guy. I'm still going to run through a bout to assess: are you safe? Are you going? And if you've never done anything, I'm going. Yep. I'm going to say, hey, guys, we're all going to learn the basics. Now, there are fancy moves, and occasionally I have well-meaning instructors try to butt in and be like, well, we'll teach you this fancy move. It's to the day I die, I will be saying, and again, to borrow from Avatar for a second, the basics, Zuko. Focus on the basics. There will always be trick shots. There will always be secret finishers. And those will work maybe once per opponent. Usually. Especially if they're sharp. Because you're not actually killing them. So it's not like, haha, I have shanked you with this secret. You're dead. No one knows my secret. Whoa, away, Yeah. That's when like not happy Nick comes out. And then they get people, get a little shocked, like, wow, you were really harsh on somebody. One thing you need to know about me, I'm a likable guy. I prefer to be likable. If I come down hard on somebody, it's usually for their safety or the safety of others. And if somebody's going, he's an hole, he's a this, he's a that, I invite you to look at what you know about me and ask yourself, does that sound in character? And I mean, sometimes there's place for the shank, This is my shank trainer. I made this on a whim, and I realized it needed a label because I like being able to respond to people who are chatting. I still need to put googly eyes on Knifey, my co-host, but he's taking a break down on the ground, and I'm not going to bend over and get him. So when you're teaching somebody, you have to respect the hierarchy. Lisa says, back when I was trying to teach Foxy's sister-in-law, we had to banish her brother from the area because he kept contradicting me, and his only experience was sword fighting in anime. I have a story I don't tell often, but I tell it when it's needed. There was a gentleman who came into my life we affectionately called effing and his name. I'm not going to say his name because. Oh, thank you, Brian K. Morris of Rising Tide Publishing. That's Risingtide.pub for the best newsletter outside of Cindy Kepps, which can be found at www.ckoepp.com. But yeah, it worked. He told me all his stuff, and I caught him in lies, and I realized he was claiming to be master of the fighting style from a very very classic ultraviolent anime called Demon City Shinjuku, wherein using a wooden stick one might levitate cans and slice them with the power of your chi. Um, upon getting on the field and all his talk, I advanced as physically slowly as I could, just to see what he would do. And standing, as I advanced, he slowly condensed into a one-legged fetal position with the sword pointing down. Um, a lot of people will claim a lot. Yeah, and that's the thing. People claim. That's why I want you to understand. I took the title Sword Master so that there would be no confusion with other groups. I didn't want to say I'm the marshal of this group because there was already some dubious issues with the SCA or the ref or the game master. That's my other occupation. But the it isn't a matter of ego. It's a matter of necessity. And when I say I don't teach you to be the greatest heroes, a lot of people, I will teach you the secret art where you will destroy your opponents. Everyone else is teaching you wrong. How many times have you seen this video? They talked about this knife defense. It'll get you killed, but my knife defense won't. Yada, yada, yada. And it goes on and on. Very macho, usually a lot of shouting, lifting of weights occasionally, street simulations that don't really look right, or no touch styles. Yeah. What I do is I teach a basic style that just about everybody can learn, regardless of physical situation. And then we'll build on that however we can. And then I shunt you, once you have a base knowledge, to pick a fencing master you like, pick an Asian style you like, whatever. All I've done is give you something that's basically 60 to 80% of most styles distilled into simple English so you don't have to worry about translating vocabulary. And go! Everyone should be able to learn a sword. And then I get people, I am the great samurai so and so. One, no, you're not. I highly doubt you're a samurai in Northwest Indiana. Uh, and two, I know people who've I will teach you for an hour for $180. Like, dude, you better be teaching somebody to levitate cans and cut them through the air and have it work for $180. I mean, seriously, I better get like a Muppet on my back teaching me the ways of the Force and levitating stuff for $180. What do? If you can afford it, please kick in. If you can't, kick in some food or something for practice. If you really love me, the historicalfencingguild.com, www.patreon.com/the historical fencing guild. Even $1 a month helps. But part of oh god, the math class. I know what Steve's talking about. Anyway, Citycap said trying to translate Distrezzo was interesting and ineffective, but Mutant Distrezzo from the woodcuts was interesting and more effective. Absolutely. Now it's interesting. I'll have to dig through and see what files I have, because for a while in the mid 2000s, maybe later, there was something called the Distrezzo Translation Project. and it very, very educational, wonderful, very simple methodology. There's also a Maestro Ramirez. If you're willing to throw $70 at a set of DVDs for the first one, his intro to Destreza is La Verdad Destreza is amazing. And I know I'm kind of stammering through that word. It's my speech impediment. And that's okay. And see, yeah, that's the thing. People try to get tricky. And the thing is, I've dealt with that. I also teach my students one of the great mandates, and I'm going to swear mildly. So if you have children present, please cover their ears. Give me a second. When in doubt, get the hell out. Now, sometimes that becomes a more pointed oath than that, but I do try to keep my language pretty above par on this channel. And I do mean that. If you don't like what's going on, don't engage. To the point where almost all my students know if I switch into a screwball stance other than my normal one, they'll just back up until I reset to something that makes sense again. Because you don't have to, unless there is an outside scenario forcing you to engage, you pick your engagement. Okay? Uh, a lot of fencing is a mix of a quick draw contest, and it's a mix of controlling the battlefield. I'm a big fan of the phrase, uh, "Give me enough time and a battlefield of my choosing, and I can defeat anyone." And it may get farcical at points, but it's true, especially on a one-on-one. So you need to be perceptive, and a lot of schools teach raw aggression. Aggression. This is the streets. Going, get them, rip their throat out, blood in your teeth. Urgh. No, dude, talk them down, walk away. But everything you do is gaining an advantage or removing a disadvantage. You're either backing away to get more mobility. You're getting into a position where you can use the scenery uh, against them. Don't be afraid to fight like a Sith. Throw things at people. I mean, like when it transfers from okay, haha, we're sparring to knives out, lives out, man. It's all on. I am a very honorable person. I've been accused of being a paladin at different points, and I will say in a fair fight, I will always try to fight fair, moderately. But I unless I'm teaching, because I deliberately teach my students against unfair opponents. Uh, in the real world, no, because my life is not mine. If I just had to live for my life, I really wouldn't care that much. And in all honesty, if I were like hedonistic, I'd live in a van down by the river or by a beach somewhere, and I'd do just enough to get by to spend time underwater or sit on the beach. I'd be a bum. Yeah, see, my problem is winning. Winning, man. How do you define winning? My first goal is to avoid the conflict. If I have to resort to violence, it is a failure of systems. Many things have failed for me to resort to violence. If I have to apply violence, I want it to be as minimal as possible and as efficient as possible. Optimally inflicting as much pain with as little actual damage as possible. I know that is not a normal mentality, but that is mine. And again, this is a philosophical discussion, and I am totally I understand other people are like, let the bodies hit the floor. But from my perspective, the goal is always to eliminate the threat. And if someone attacks you and is in a position to attack you and you just don't get where they can, you've eliminated the threat and any after effects. Now, if somebody does attack you, you have to hurt them. There's a good chance the police are going to be involved. That is a threat of life, liberty, and ending up in the jail system. Now, while I affectionately say I have a face for radio, I am also way too pretty for jail. So I don't want to deal with any of that. So it's always efficient, minimal response. That way, when the police engage with lawyers, if they have to engage, even to decide what they're going to do, be like, I just tried to get me and my kid out of there. And that's the other thing. I rarely go anywhere alone. I'm usually with my wife and son, or my son. Period. That's a whole different set of scenario. I have no room for ego. If I'm at a losing thing and I can throw my money on the ground, be like, here you go. There's my money. Have at it. And they'll take the money and I can go. If they keep coming, they were never after the money. And that's reality. It's unpleasant reality, but we need to understand that as a valid concept. Now, does that affect how I train people? Absolutely. Does it affect what I carry? Absolutely. I am a big proponent of carrying a stick as I am gimpy, and while that term is offensive to some, I take it so that it can't be used against me, much like fat, short, or scruffy. If I accept that, they can't use it. You're fat. No, duh. Rub my belly for luck. Anyway. But I own cane swords. I do not usually carry them because I operate on the theory that if I feel I need to carry a cane sword somewhere, I shouldn't be going there. And if I feel I have to go there, why am I stopping with a cane sword and I'm not rocking, a more ballistic solution? Because I will tell you, understanding understanding swords is good. Understanding knives is good. Understanding guns is good. And they each do things differently, folks. And they have different advantages and disadvantages. I play towards my disadvantages always. Because what I mean is, I play to my strengths. Like, I'm going to do my strengths, but I think in terms of my disadvantages. I'm not going to go somewhere where I have to climb a tree to escape a threat. I just can't right now. At this point, getting up out of my desk chair will be challenging because I'm sick. And that's the other thing. Let's talk about that. We've got a good transition here to another point. Are you guys evaluating yourselves daily? Dare I say constantly? This is one of the reasons fencing is good because you find out, hey, I don't move as fast to the left as I thought I did. You know your reach, you know what you can and can't do. And that's why training is so important because it keeps you from doing something that you didn't know you couldn't do till you fail at the wrong time. You want to be calm and focused and together. It also gives you practice of, to an extent, of dealing. Yep. Sydney Cap says, yep, because at any moment, various joints might misbehave. Absolutely. Yep. Steve says blades give you space to draw. The standard evolution is knife to pistol, pistol to rifle. But if you can get out at any point in that, get out instead. Okay. Some of us who watch this, I am not in us, but some of the folks who watch this are combat veterans. They signed on the dotted line heroically to put their lives in danger and go to places where angels fear to tread. They are heroes. There are also contractors who run a very similar gambit but had a little more freedom and a lot more money. They are paid and trained theoretically and equipped, again theoretically, to engage threats. The vast majority of civilians aren't. And I look at it like, treat it like it's a profession. All right? Like, you ever see somebody trying to represent themselves in court? I mean, some people can, and it's awesome, but it rarely goes well. Home doctoring can be nightmarish. And really, as a retired librarian now, part librarian, I home research is scary. I mean, like, I did not think how badly people could mess up researching till I hit 2020 and went, dear Lord. So that's all a factor. Let the pros do what they're pros at. Now, having the skills in any given field to do what you can where you can is also superior, But part of that is knowing when to let the pros do it. And with, when people talk about what we do, which is Western martial arts, sword fighting, gay, pole arms, uh, it's different. Okay, there are people who carry knives for a living. Okay, and they do bad things to people quietly. The vast majority of us, hopefully, are not said people. And really, I don't think any of them have much use for what I do. But if I can help folks stay alive, okay. That's the other side for what I teach. I teach applied violence. I don't know if you guys have thought of that, but I teach applied violence. I'm also Christian. These two things could very much be diametrically opposed. And it gets into the very slippery world of what's right and what's necessary and options. Before I lose it, Sydney kept not to mention the jitters. Absolutely. Training helps you practice dealing with the jitters. But yeah, I teach applied violence. Because I do that, there's a certain measure of karmic debt. Because the people who use what I've taught them, if they ever use it to hurt somebody, a bit of that is on me. And I've actually had some run-ins with helping someone and then having them do something and having to deal with the resulting aftermath and how it affected me. And while everyone, okay, I understand. Yeah, trembles. You'll notice if you see me not talking with my hands, that's because they're acting up. Little behind the scenes secret. If my hands aren't up here when I'm talking like the aliens guy, something is going wrong so that I'm spazzing. But to offset that, I try to teach a philosophy of peace, of minimal damage, and repentance where possible. Because my goal is to keep people safe, to help people be defended, not aggressing. There are people out there who will teach you that skill set, and they will do so without hesitation. And I'm just not them. And again, that's one of those things. If it offends people, they don't have to read my stuff. If that seems too naive, that's okay. It's my beliefs. And literally, it shouldn't be hurting them. So leave it be. But we are roughly an hour in, so I want to take a minute to thank my Patreon members. Guys, the folks who are on my Patreon keep the channel rolling. They allow me to buy the gear that I review. I have a whole bunch of reviews planned. I'm just dealing with some necessities and health. They also, just the support of being able to go on my Patreon group and say, here's something I'm doing. Tell me what you think. Do you like the idea? Do you not? It means the universe to me. Because if you go back, there were a lot of videos where I was just talking to a wall here. Talk about whatever, and it's quality content, but without somebody to bounce off of, it feels almost painfully lonely or painfully stale. And I couldn't do it. So if you look at the gobbledygook below, you'll find the link to my Patreon. And if you want to support what I do and get bonuses, because I put early releases, you also all basically get to dictate a lot of the content on this channel. If people say, hey, Nick, talk about this style, you can ask the patrons, but most of which, actually, I think everyone chatting right now is a Patreon member. Oh, yeah. My hands, Foxy, I drop things, and I had to take my braces off because the side effect is causing some swelling, which was pinching things and making it worse. Yeah, I usually I like straps on my phone, so we work around it, and that's okay. That's why we put straps on our swords. Why I favor certain types of riggings. Lanyards are your friend, folks, and that's that. But you guys make it possible. I also want to put a huge shout out to my partner Luke Stone, who runs Hybrids. Something else big is coming. I know I need more tiers. I need to do a lot of upgrades. I'm sort of juggling plates right now behind the scenes, and since I'm through with the first Hybrids uh, crowdfunding, I can realign my priorities just a bit. And yeah, and a lot of it's what you guys want. The input is what gets what you want. I'm a simple fan. A lot of people don't know this. My primary job is I'm a primary caregiver for my special needs son, and I have left outside employment officially to do that first and foremost. Then I'm a contracted game designer with Luke Stone, uh, and there will be announcements real soon in that. And I run the Historical Fencing Guild. Uh, yeah, so I juggle. I also write the Big Stompy Robots tactics game, and these are paper cutouts that I did 2007 for this game. To the point that let me get this lined up. That white guy, that's the logo, folks, and that's kind of how I offset so I can stay home and take care of my son, and I can keep helping people. My wife is an amazing woman, and she is the primary breadwinner by a factor of thousands, and she's my hero. But yeah, here I'm going to show you guys this. These were originally called BattleTech Proxy Mechs because I didn't have a game title. But yeah, I copyrighted this design in 2007. You can find that buried in I think the sketches on deviantart.com/nickt_artist, which is my art site. I have always more irons in the fire than anyone realizes, and a lot of stuff that I've been slowly nibbling at throughout the pandemic and much, much longer is starting to come to fruition. And I'm very excited, but I'm also, in all honesty, a little taxed. I'm a little burdened. I'm pushing a lot, and I've been pushing a lot for a long time. So I hope I'm keeping up the quality at least for these live streams. And once we start having practices and I can work with people, I'm hoping that I can use that to address some more of my physical issues as I'm addressing them, and just keep making quality content because I'm about helping people in whatever way I can. And I do find it funny. I was essentially paralyzed, and I still no. Okay, cool. My feed dropped for a second. I still managed to find a way to help folks when I was making the RPG for Luke. And it's one of those stories I tell all the time because it's a good story. But I literally, where are my markers? I couldn't work my hands, but I had a contract. So I did work on this and the next two books that are still in development, basically stabbing like this to hammer out the letters before I got my sexy. And you guys, this is a little heavy right now. This is what my amazing Patreon members were able to get me. This really gorgeous ergonomic keyboard so I can work without blinding pain, and my really gorgeous ergonomic mouse. They also, because they request stuff, they let me buy trainers, and sometimes they just send me trainers. It's really cool, so I can review them and tell you if it's worth doing. Feeling it. Okay. This is going to be a really exciting time in a lot of people's lives because I think an appreciation has formed, both for uh, Cindy. Sorry, before we appreciate Cindy. She's one of the most amazing people I've ever met online. There is a company that makes some amazing over-the-lap tables and stuff that that you can type on. I have a small folding split keyboard like this that is attached to my laptop in the living room. And some tables like that just make it so much easier. I'll send you some links of the ones I've seen, and I'll show you. Basically, I use a very cheap table I got at uh, Wally World. Hold on. Now, no, I fully understand that. Um, I'm spacing this so folks who want to see my old art page can see it because links and YouTube do not always get along. And this is a little neglected because right now all the art and work I've been doing has gone directly to game design, and I can't really share a lot of what that's for. Uh, I think if you piece that together, it should work okay. That's the one downside with sharing links through uh, YouTube. Hey, awesome! Little tables are great. I love the little tables. I actually have a new one because I wanted to set up a micro table set. So basically, when I go to conventions, I have a big table set that I bring, and sometimes for my arting, I like to bring my little it's a slanting table so that I can just draw on there when I'm drawing stuff for patrons. And I got a little side table now that I can put in. Uh, cool, cool. The mini mice. I don't know if you've considered. If you know somebody who has a vertical mouse, really try it because the vertical mouse. And this is what I do. I help people. I help them adapt to things. If it's off topic, let me know, and I'll probably keep doing it. But at least I'll know where you stand. Because I have wrist damage, it just comes straight down and it locks. I can actually, even without my braces, which is huge, I can hold that up and I can actually work it and navigate it. Now I'm not going to click it because technology hates me with a passion, but uh, look into them. And maybe I'll put, if you guys want, I can throw some of the relevant links either up on the Facebook public group or on the Patreon group. It's a little off topic, but I'm all about helping people. And that's another thing. Journaling. For those of you with the discipline to journal, when you are fighting, don't be afraid to jot down notes, jot down styles, observations about people. Maybe you see somebody who's fighting a way you don't, you want to know more. Jot down if they say it's Gigante or Agrippa or whatever. You'll notice I don't reference Agrippa and a few others very often because many of the styles were designed for people who are tall and lanky. Uh, they're very height friendly styles. Meyer can be very height friendly, and that's great for tall people. But I deal with a lot of short people as a rule because, unfortunately, a lot of tall people are accepted more into martial arts communities, especially sword-based martial arts, than the shorter of stature. Hi, I'm a mighty 5'8" on my long leg, you know, but we uh, we have to realize, folks, that adapting to our needs, both off the field and on the field, is what's going to let us live the lives we want to live. That might be using mobility aids. That might simply be as far as making sure your chair is comfortable to sit in for long periods of time. All this feeds into making you a better fighter, believe it or not, because if you're sore from supercating your wrist while doing computer work at your place of employment or at home, that's going to affect how you fight. It all builds on itself. So if you build a gestalt, something that curls energy in and of itself to power itself, uh, of adaption, of building yourself up, it works. Let's see. My tallest student. I want to. I want to say it was 6'6". My tallest opponent was 7'2" or 7'4". His name was Magnus, and he was a blast. Fortunately, I met him when I was young and agile. Now I just be owned, and I accept that. And guess what? Your stats are gonna change. If you look at yourself like a D&D character, your physical stats are going to change radically. And thinking in those terms helps you pick what actions are going to work best for you. Uh, I wonder if I put this on sideways today because usually that light isn't shining quite so hard on everybody. Anyway, uh, if the blue light is distracting anybody, especially you, Cindy, let me know and I will hunker down and I will turn it off. Obviously, it just occurred to me that it might count as a flashing light, and I don't want that. But I've 4'6", 4'6", a very small Filipino young lady. I briefly worked with. She was a blast because I'd never fought someone that much shorter than me. So to see my okay, good. To see my strategies applied against me as intended, you figure there are angles involved, cross reference, somebody's 5 foot, somebody's 6 foot. You get a very similar angular breakdown. It was surreal. And Stef Mari is also one of those because she fights a very wide horse stance. So when she is fighting, and the more excited, she's great because the more excited she is, the more she ratchets down. Her stance gets wider and wider because she has very powerful legs. Ha ha ha. Well, I don't, usually I drink greens, Mountain Dew slushies, but there's exceptions. Chaotic. Hi. Hello, Sharon. Personally, and chaotic neutral. Well, I've been known to run that route, or at least appear that way. I'm usually lawful good. It's just my laws are a little colorful. But yeah, I know she's talking about the height chart. Yeah, little people are fun, and one thing you'll see traditionally in a group of somebody like the SCA, where you have a lot of 6-footers, you'll have the 5'10" guys in a line. The 5'8" plus, 5'10", 5'11", and then the 6 plus are striking behind. Because of some of the people I have, on a whim, we got a bunch of us together, and we had almost like 4 tiers of fighters that could deploy at different heights. It was great fun. And I will tell you, if given the choice between a training from an idea of a melee, especially a scrum is when the lines break down. So, you see line combat, which I don't normally like, but, it's good to understand. Football's great for that. Lawful good with... No, it's just my rules are very, Fey-like? Exactly. Pike set for horse without needing to lean forward. Absolutely. And we've bristled lines, and I would love to get enough of a group going again and be healthy enough to possibly try to find any local groups, like especially LARPies, that we could, engage and see how they're doing, see how we're doing. A big part of what I like to do, and it's sort of one of my side dreams, is to help people who are not in historical groups or in martial arts oriented groups simply get better. I now own elf ears. They're not usually used for elfery. There's a whole other situation for that. But they deserve to learn to fight them as well as anybody else, even if the weapons are boffers. And the new plastidit boffers are just gorgeous, folks. I don't know if you've looked into them, but they're really neat. Now, I will always be a Schlager guy at heart. That's home. I mean, you don't trust it's not, well, in my case, it's, if you figure out my rules, they're very clear. And I will always keep to my rules. But Fae Propaganda Department will gladly explain to you, don't trust the Fae. There are reasons why I wear steel around my neck at all times. But guys, there's, how do I put, trust the Fae to be the Fae. You know what I mean? There are some people in my life where people ask me, do I trust them? No. Do I trust them to act in their obvious interests? Maybe not enlightened, but in their self-interest? Yeah. And that's how I can deal with them, because I know their rules. Exactly. So I have a very strange, I've never even written them down. Someday maybe I will. It's a complex personal set of things I do for reasons. Things I do for reasons. Hello, we're tonight on Begging with the Fae. Things I do for reasons. We'll be interviewing a alleged cryptid, Mr. Nicholas Tucker, and we will be rattling in on what makes him less or more than human. Well, yeah, my shortcut is treat the Fae like the mafia, and you're fine. Nod, respect, don't ask for favors, acknowledge but don't thank, and keep walking. That's my approach on dealing with the Fae in any setting. I think it's just best that is how things are thought of. But sorry guys, I'm feeling it a bit tonight, so there's a bit of Norm. I know this is not exactly the most high energy broadcast of mine, so I do appreciate you guys putting up with my slow speech and frequent pauses. But we've got a lot of good stuff. Now, next week I'm gonna go over picking a main weapon. I think I had planned to do it this week, but I just was not together. I actually woke up at 7:30 from a nap on the bed with my breathing machine, and scrambled. Well, scrambled. It is not fast, nor is it pretty to get things rolling on time. But I said I'd broadcast this as long as the pandemic's going, so I'm going to broadcast this as long as the pandemic's going, and then we'll move on from there. I intend to keep it going because, folks, a lot of people come to me and they really like this little broadcast of mine. So, and believe it or not, I'm feeling better than I was. I just needed to kind of endure through it. Exactly. Exactly. Blighted Thesis is quoting Jack Sparrow, a wonderful character. A dishonest man you can always trust to be dishonest. I mean, honestly, it's the honest ones you have to watch out for. You never can predict when they're going to do something incredibly stupid. And yeah, I am proud. I am proud to walk in the circles I walk. I have a set of nicknames and lovingly applied titles that I let puff me up a little bit when nobody's around. I am the token Christian friend. I am the token cis friend. I'm the token male friend. Uh, I walk places others won't because I don't believe in bigotry. So I learn things, and that's a great adventure. I don't know how many places I've been, how many times I've been in a place where like I can lean over to whomever is escorting me through, like Virgil, uh, and go, "Hey, where's Waldo?" I've been in blues clubs. I've been at assorted religious ceremonies. Captain Jack Sparrow is a great hero. Incredibly stupid or distraction. Both. Sharon? Both. I am a big fan of applied insanity. Like, if you don't know what to do and nothing you could do logically will work, as a sort of, pardon me, as a sort of last step, never be afraid. I have survived by simply out crazying some people over the years, and I do mean survived. Not like, yay, we're fencing and oh, you killed me. Like, no, put the gun down, dude. And sometimes applied insanity, as long as you're in control, is a wonderful thing. You're talking to the guy who pioneered drunken fencing. I don't drink. I'm actually a teetotaler. I have my whole life. Uh, because alcohol makes my family break out in handcuffs. But that doesn't mean I didn't study a little bit of drunken fighting enough to parse it over to some sword styles. And it's great fun because it messes with people whose minds are too rigid. Many times I have fought people who should have, they beat me, but it's annoying because they didn't beat me easy, and they should have. I mean, they see a short, fat guy walking with a cane, and they say, I should be able to mop the floor with him. And instead, what is going on here? Oh, boop. They say, oh, dear Lord. And they don't know what to do. And that's what makes things interesting, guys. Never be afraid. I'm just checking to make sure I don't have any side messages because I'm new to the Twitter thing and I want to be there for anyone who might be watching this broadcast to help with any questions, comments. Now, I've been pretty far afield, largely because I'm quite feverish at the moment, but normally we talk about HEMA trainers a lot. We talk about swords and matching sword styles with people who want to learn. Basically, I don't believe in teaching how to fight. I believe in teaching how to find your fight because no two people fight the same. Now, there are some schools, drill, hop, 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 hop. We all move the same and go. This is how the sword will know. And that's all well and good for them. But trying to teach a technique that's very applicable for somebody who's 6'4" with a 50-inch rapier may not transfer over to somebody who's 5 foot tall holding a 30-inch rapier that's just about long on them. And that's what we're about. So every week we talk about armor. We talk about the what's coming out right now. I am saving up my nickels and dimes to order a fencing style hoodie because I want a front closer armorable jacket. And I think it would be easier to do so than to make one. My wife could make one. She's made wonderful armor in the past, but it might be time to just step into something mass produced that I can review and that is easy to get in. I have known on the topic of drunken fighting. I have known people who, and I say this with every caveat known to man, please don't roll the dice to see if this is you, but they are alcoholic savants, especially around fields like playing pool. Uh, it slows their nerves, they can track differently, it changes the way their mind works. I will never, ever condone nor allow someone to fight intoxicated. I had one student friend attempt this rather suddenly in a brash scenario where I was at someone else's house and I was not aware of their condition. And they said, I'm trying drunken fencing. So at first I thought they were simply screwing around. They were not. And they were injured on the fault of their advanced levels of stupidity. Love them dearly, but sometimes if you're going to be stupid, you have to feel pain. And the pain that guy felt was a clay chucker spike, the spike for a device that throws clays in the derriere, because this was at a party and I didn't know I would be sword mastering at the time. He learned a lot from then, but and thankfully I didn't have to do the bandaging. I thought I would because I have a mild first aid medical-ish background. But fortunately, his ex-wife was there to soothe the savage derriere, so to speak. Let me see. We have commentary coming in on Messenger. Boop. Yes. So I am planning to go to that wedding, but again, because of my son's reaction to crowds, I may have to leave shortly. Now, I would rather associate with some friends, have a good time, etc. But in the case I have to come home early, I'll hop on and try to run a show. If not, well, then I think everybody will understand by then. But I want to know what styles you guys want me to focus on, because very soon I'm going to be doing a lot more outdoors demonstration pieces and discussions. So we'll we will check there. Now, normally these videos go about 2 hours, and I am an hour and a half. I'm considering ducking out just because I'm starting to be a little more winded and I'm almost out of beverage. I hope you don't mind, but I think it would be better to cut it short than cause issue to myself later. And I think you understand. So what I'm going to say is thank you guys for coming out. Thank you, Sharon Parsley. I have a speech impediment. I don't know if I know you by another name, but please like, share, subscribe this video. Like I said, I will be back to my full 2 hours, but I'm just starting to feel the need for some medication, a few other things. Yeah, I don't usually attend functions as a rule. I'm very much an introvert. That's why I'm a swordmaster who lives out in the middle of nowhere. It's kinda in the guidebook. But hey, you know what? I've just come to accept I am of a certain tradition, and that's just gonna shape part of how my life manifests, and I'm cool with that. But thank you so much. Before I do my plugs, I want to stop and plug Brian K. Morris of Rising Tide Publishing, because he throughout the pandemic he's been instrumental in improving my life and bringing me into a circle of some really great people. I want to plug Cindy Kep. She is an author. She is doing the Animal Eye comic. I don't know if it's done or not. I admit I'm really out of it, but you need to follow her at www.ckoepp.com. Sorry, the star kicks in. I want to thank Bladed Thesis again for this beautiful book that he made me, which I'm going to do something really cool with. I haven't 100% decided, but this was a real honor to receive, and I'm still talking about it. 3 more days on Animal Eye. Okay, then Cindy, if you can get the link up in assorted places, support her crowdfunding. She's doing a really cool project. And thank you everyone who went to indiegogo.igg.me/at/killingfield2 for Luke Stone's crowdfunding. We got it published. I get to see a game I designed properly published, and it's a wonderful world. I will be appearing on a lot more shows again in the near future on that side of things. I hope you guys enjoy it, and there will be huge news in the Big Stumpy Robots universe. I have 2 new novellas in the works of varying degrees, and I have this paper. And that paper is one of the most important things I've ever made, because it's a life's goal challenge in the field of gaming. It's something I've always wanted to attempt, and I pretty much that's the root of the engine. I just have to field test it. So I'm really excited. Folks, thank you for coming out and visiting me on a Friday night. If you want to support what I'm doing, be sure to hit www.amazon.com/the Historical Fencing Guild. I'm sorry, / Nicholas Tockert. Sorry, I got my channels mixed up. And look at my books. Both of them are available through Kindle Direct. They are as low cost as Amazon will let me keep them. And they are just wonderful guides for anyone who wants to get started in Western martial arts. If you like gaming that is rules light and fun heavy, look up Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, the role-playing game. This is the first of the quick play version. You will see a sexy real print version as soon as it's in my hot little hands. And if you go to Red Valkyrie on YouTube or Red Valkyrie Presents and scroll through, I actually did a live stream through all the playable content of that. About 3 hours. We had a blast, and I might be doing it some more. So thank you for coming out. Thank you for your continued support. And guys, keep your guard up, okay? Never keep your eyes open, but be good to yourselves and each other, all right? And as always, at the end of the day, please just find love, and thank you for supporting your local swordmaster.